it's becoming clear that the empire is being challenged directly now. And we're seeing it, the decline of the dollar. Like, this is something that I think is going to put a lot of pressure on Trump. He can't be the president where the dollar collapses on his watch and largely expedited by his actions, by what he's done. So like in his mind, then maybe he has to bring everybody back in. Then that's why you have to go all out. He has to reassert that dominance and maybe he hopes he can shore up that the dollar again, because it is being challenged. I mean, we were seeing, China and Russia and BRICS, engaging in commerce without it. But the bigger thing is we're seeing, like Mark Carney, what he said, that this rules-based order was phony and we benefited from it, so we went along with it, but this no longer works. And now we're shopping for other partners. We reckon that's a recognition of the multipolar world. That's what he's saying. And then
it's at least a big, important step in that direction. No question about it.
Right. I mean, but it's so much easier to go down that path because it's the rational, reasonable path. Just the fact that he pivoted and started on that path, I think you will continue down that path because it's just rational and it makes sense. Your people will support you, and and it's just so easy to just because everybody dislikes Trump. I think everybody's all of a sudden China is so popular now.
Yeah, well, even the European leaders, they haven't been as forthright or as clear as Mark Carney was, but I think all of them have their people in China right now.
Yeah, well, Starmer, I think, is there right now, right? Yeah, I mean, he's there with a massive delegation with all these businessmen like Land Rover and all these things as well. And they're following Mark Carney's route. Like, we need to diversify. We need to shore up these other partnerships. We can't just cut ourselves off from China because the U.S. says we should, but the U.S. is also threatening us constantly. Like, well, what kind of partnership is this? We can't do that.
Right. Well, we'll see. I mean, again, thanks to U.S. pressure, the Europeans imposed those 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs. I think they're still on there. Now, Mark Carney rolled it back in the case of Canada. He did something. He really did change the policy. We'll see if the Europeans actually have the backbone to do something like that.
Yeah, actually, I have. Let me play a video of Mark Carney just because, we heard that one great speech he gave at Davos, but sometimes we just hear one thing. We're like, okay, he had just a brief blip, and then they pulled him into a room and told him, like, what are you doing? And then he switches to it. But just he's going to respond to the Davos comments. I'll play it for you now, and then get your thoughts on it.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that you walked back your comments on Davos in a conversation with Mr. Trump. Is that the case, Prime Minister?
As I said, well, first off, the President called me yesterday. We had a very good conversation on a wide range of subjects, ranging from situation in Ukraine, Venezuela, Arctic security. We discussed as well what Canada is doing positively, and this is the context of our discussion, what Canada is doing positively to build new partnerships around the world. I explained to him our arrangement with China. I explained to him what we're doing, 12 new deals on 4 continents in 6 months. He was impressed. And what we intend to do going forward, as well as the opportunity to, of course, move forward on CUSMA. You will note that Minister LeBlanc had discussions with one of his counterparts in the last 36 hours about some of the modalities and things on the way forward. But to be absolutely clear, and I said this to the President, I meant what I said in Davos. It was clear it was a broader set of issues, that Canada was the first country to understand the change in U.S. trade policy that he had initiated, and we're responding to that. We're responding positively by building partnerships abroad. We're responding positively by building at home, and we're prepared to respond positively by building that new relationship through CUSMA. He understood that, and it was a good conversation, as I said.
So you didn't walk back your comments?
Okay. So anyways, I thought that was, maybe it's a little boring for some people, but I thought that was significant because it just reinforced for me that this is the first Western leader that is accepting the multipolar world, that is moving into it and recognizing it. And maybe I'm getting too excited about it, but that's how I read it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he did. He did say he didn't walk back his comments. He made it clear that this is what we're doing. No, what I meant, what I said, and we are diversifying. Which, he tried to put it in a very positive light, and was very careful not to offend Trump or to appear anti-American. But what he's saying is that, hey, we're not relying on America anymore, and we're looking at our options and building up relationships with other countries other than America because we realize that it's important to do this. So I would say, it is a very important development. It is a very important step in the direction of multipolarity. I think you can't read it any other way. I've actually noticed that there are quite a few people, let's say among the global geopolitical dissident community, that have kind of poo-pooed his comments and said that they pointed out rightly that he used to be among the worst of the worst, a central banker and all that, and then I think it's still he supports Israel and and Zionism, and he's probably bad on Venezuela and all that. I agree. So I don't think this is like he's making this huge leap towards just embracing all of BRICS, but it is a step, a very important and a real step in that direction. One a geopolitical dissident that was very, very effusive in his praise for Mark Carney and saw his speech the same way that we saw it was Jeffrey Sachs. And it turns out that Mark Carney was his student some years ago, and he actually remembers him, I think, as being kind of exceptional back then. So he was very, very pleased with that. And I think he read it the same way that we did. Again, I don't think it's to say that this is like, okay, he's made a total conversion, but he's made, it's a partial and real conversion to multipolarity.
Right. And I think you'll continue down that conversion path. It's because the force of reality is pushing you down that path. So. But what I feel like is happening right now, and why I'm excited, apprehensive, is it feels like we are seeing the real beginning of the unraveling of the empire. We are seeing countries starting to recognize the multipolar world, like just baby steps with Canada and the UK. But I think that's the first step is the most important one. And then we're seeing just the what's happening to the dollar, the rise of gold. So it just feels like this is it. And we are, we've been talking about a dollar collapse for a long time, that this is an inevitability, but it's very difficult to predict these things. But once it starts to happen, it could really start to snowball and happen quickly. Right. And I am starting to see more and more prominent economists and just people online talking about, it's happening, it's beginning. And I think just that thought that, is that's what starts it, right? Once it starts to become a mainstream consensus that, the writing's on the wall, we can just see the bottom drop out. So do you think that's where we're getting close to a situation like that?
Yeah. Fiat currencies depend on trust. People have to be confident that they're going to, that they're solid, that they're going to be there, that they're not going to be inflated away. And that trust has obviously been seriously eroded. And I don't think that trust, I'm not going to fix, a certain date. It could be tomorrow. It could be, years from now. But I'll say that I don't think the dollar is going to survive the remaining 3 years in Trump's term. I mean, if he continues, and there's no sign that Trump is going to become any less chaotic. And he's going to continue to threaten countries around the world, including his own allies. And that every time he does that, he erodes that trust further.
Right. And as the dollar continues to drop, we can expect him to become increasingly more erratic and chaotic and more likely to trigger a war because, like I said, I don't think he can ever stomach the possibility that the whole U.S. financial system collapse on his watch. He's the guy, the great businessman, the art of the deal. Right, like he can't, that's his whole thing. He can't do it, but it's happening. I feel like it's really happening now, and it's in large part thanks to him. Yeah. So I feel like,
well, again, we were headed that way long before, Trump, there was any chance that Trump was going to be president of this country. There were policies embraced by, previous administrations and wars and unnecessary wars that are launched. All of those kind of set the stage, But Trump has come and, he's the guy who the stage was set by the others, but it looks like he'll be the one to actually to oversee, the collapse of the dollar.
Well, does that make you think that we will then have a big war in an effort for him to save the dollar? I just feel like what can you do when it's collapsing?
Right.
Well,
Again,
you got
I
to
don't
use the
think
stick more.
Yeah, I don't think that he wants. I'm sure he doesn't want to have a big war. My fear is he wants to do something dramatic. That'll make him look tough. Something a quick victory. That's what he wants. But I just don't know that he can pull it off. Again, Iran is different. And he could very, very easily miscalculate and be stuck with a major war on his hands. And again, this war can have serious economic consequences because of where it is.
Yeah. Well, the empire is crumbling and we got a mad emperor. So we'll see what's going to happen. And the other thing that maybe I shouldn't even try to analyze Trump's mind, but I feel the way that he looks at the world now is that he is in a battle for Western civilization, because that's how a lot of, the Zionists like to talk. They like to link Israel to Western civilization, that, Israel is the outpost, the frontier for Western civilization. And I think when he frames it in that mindset, it's easier for him to be like, yes, I'm saving the whole Western civilization by defending Israel.
Yeah.
And I have prominent people like Elon Musk that are all about this civilizational battle. And just you think about somebody that has megalomania, they want to think about civilizational battle, civilizational greatness. And I think that this is it. And the enemy of civilization in his mind, thanks to all the Zionist propaganda around him, is Iran. And then I think that's why it's going to be easier. It's like, okay, this is the great battle of our time, to save Western civilization and to save the American empire, to save the dollar. I think that story can be convincing to him. I think whoever's around him, they're able to, I think, paint it in that mindset. And I think he likes that, and it feels good. It makes him feel important. And he thinks he somehow has the backing of the Western world.
Yeah, right. I think you put that very well. I think you're right. I don't really have anything to add to that.
No, well, okay, then do we? Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else we want to say about Iran necessarily. Like, we don't see any off ramps. This buildup's continuing. You think that we're going to probably have a war, and everything we just talked about, the civilizational battle, the dollar collapse. I think this is all pushing forward to it. So I'm really
we
concerned.
may escape it again. Again, he might just get lucky. We can't say that we don't know the things that they're cooking up. There might be something where he just, again, in and out, and then he steams away, and it really won't be anything. But the Iranians will look at that. They might, be tempted to retaliate. But again, they're looking at their own interests, and they understand this time on their side. Okay, he didn't really do any damage to us. Let him go, and we are going to continue to build up our air defenses and add to our missile arsenal and so forth. And we know, as the Israelis too know, that within several months or within a year, that we are going to be safe. It's going to be so clear that we are capable of delivering a devastating response that nobody's going to try it. And maybe they'll even go for a nuclear weapon. That's a possibility. Again, I think they have if there's any country that would be justified in going for a nuclear weapon right now, it's Iran.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody can feel the tension in the air. Every morning I wake up, checking my phone to see if missiles are starting to fly.
Yeah.
And
right.
I don't know if we're getting out of this one, Dad.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think there is going to be almost certainly, not with absolute certainty, but almost certainly there will be some kind of attack. And if there's a very, very high risk that this will turn into a major conflict.
Yeah, I think Iran has made it very clear. They have been very, very passive. I mean, it's just so clear that Iran doesn't want a war. And I think this is just one of the things that makes, as an American, why I hate what I'm seeing so much. Yeah. It's just we're acting like a bully. This country clearly doesn't want to fight us, but we're doing everything we can to destroy their lives, destroy their economy, impose all these sanctions, and then, send our armada outside. We already bombed them once. It's like, what are we doing? Well, I just don't like that that America is such a bully.
I don't like it either. I know it. I consider it very, very shameful. There's no question about it.